Hey, Kate here with Wild Sacred Journey and another creature comfort videos, where the intention is to affirm and give context to and inspire and comfort your creature self as you unplug from sort of the machine, particularly in the wake of burnout and kind of wanting to come back to a more soulful human creature self. So this morning I'm coming to you first thing in the morning, so you might hear a little groggy in my throat or voice, but I want to pause for a moment. I don't know if my microphone's able to pick it up here on my phone, but just pausing for a moment to notice if you can hear any of the bird songs that I'm listening to. So, I've been making an effort, particularly in the last couple days, to come out and start my morning with listening to the birds. And here's why. So, we have individual nervous systems, yes. We also have collective nervous systems. And in an animist philosophy, our understanding is that everything is conscious, everything has some soul, everything has a certain intelligence, which means that the entire world, and by everything I mean like even in seemingly inanimate objects, right? Things that our modern world would categorize as inanimate. So stones, trees, even the things that man-made things that we've created. So if everything is conscious and has a certain intelligence and consciousness and aliveness, then it's all a relationship, right? And you've heard me say this before, and you'll probably hear me say this again. Capitalism would teach us that everything is a resource to be extracted, including our bodies and our nervous systems and our attention and our energy, right? So to unplug from that system, to unlearn that system, especially if we feel burned by it or burned out by it, and to kind of rewire our brains or relearn or remember a more animist and ancestral way of connecting to our own bodies and the world, of understanding our own bodies and their relationship to the world around us, we have to kind of unlearn this sense that everything's a resource, and we have to build the relational skills that have been atrophying in the wake of forgetting that we're actually related to everything, that everything is a web of kinship, that everything is a relationship. So understanding collective nervous systems is part of that. So there's a lot of information on the internet these days about the human nervous system, and some of it's more nuanced and better than others. But most people at this point understand that we have a nervous system. But this idea of the collective nervous system, right? This idea that it's not just my nervous system, it's also the nervous system, the collective nervous system formed by the beings, both human and otherworldly, like in my house or in my immediate community or in my family system or, chosen family system, right? Or even if I've gone no contact sometimes with people, doesn't mean we don't still have some collective nervous system or some link, some connection, Also then the collective nervous system of the world, and particularly because we are now in these days more than ever aware of what's going on in the world. So there is this wider, bigger collective nervous system than humans have probably ever really had to contend with. But there's also the collective nervous system of us and our natural environments, right? So there's all these different layers of collective nervous system that we're kind of operating in. And I think this is really important because social media and the news right now, there are truly horrific and dysregulating things that are happening right now. And it's not that they haven't always been happening, but we're more and more aware of them now. So that's going to affect our nervous systems. We're going to feel it in our bodies, and it is proper that we do so. So this is not that we're wrong or that we're supposed to somehow feel things less. Becoming human again is actually often a messy and complicated, or not complicated, but uncomfortable, messy and uncomfortable journey, because it's not about feeling things less. It's actually about feeling things more. But if we do it right, it's about feeling things more with the skills to know what to do with that, or to be able to practice another way of doing that. The crows are coming closer because I put their food out for them. I don't know that they'll come down while I'm still standing out here though. So they may just caw around us. So our nervous systems are designed to look for safety, right? To look for belonging, because belonging also equates to safety in our human and our social creature bodies. So our nervous system's used to toggling back and forth internally and externally. What's happening inside, what's happening outside. So this matters because right now, many of us are feeling dysregulated inside. We're toggling outside, and the places we have to toggle outside are places like social media. They're places like online. The Jays too. The Jays are annoyed that I'm standing here. Let me just go onto the porch here for a moment. Actually, before I go into the porch, they're up in the tree there. Okay, so we're dysregulated inside, and then that means we toggle outside to look for support. And the places that we tend to toggle out these days, because they've been designed to be addictive and to create a false sense of community, a false sense of connection, a false sense of being aware of what's going on. Although I'm not discounting the very real, like, organizing and awareness campaigns that are happening in these social media platforms and in the online spaces that need to happen in those platforms and online spaces. And, you know, those have a benefit. Here they are. The crows there. So I'm not discounting those, but those are also in many cases highly dysregulated right now. Those are also like they're not gonna ground us. So we also need to kind of develop the skill of being able to toggle outward. When we toggle outward, not only toggling outward to the digital world or to the human collective nervous system, but to toggle to the natural nervous system, the nervous system of the earth itself, right? The nervous system of the creatures. So I've been coming out to listen to the birds sing, because sometimes they'll squawk their alarm calls, like if a cat comes through or a fox, or, you know, if there's a loud noise, or, you know, whatever the thing might be. But for the most part, they're singing their everything is okay songs. And they're, hey, look, there's peanuts here songs. And this is really important because there's a lot in the world that's telling us we are not okay. And I'm not discounting that. This is not about bypassing that. This is not about invalidating that, because for many people that is true. But it's a truth. And the other piece too, oral cultures were, to be able to hold information without writing it down required an understanding in our brains of how to layer sort of complex forms of information. Yeah. And so there was perhaps more skill, perhaps, I don't know, but there was perhaps more skill at holding complexity, holding nuance, which might be another piece that's atrophying in our modern day and age. And so to be able to hold the complexity and nuance is really important, because we need, if we're going to be able to survive these times and this initiation that the human species is kind of going through right now, or is being invited into, whether we go through it or not remains to be seen. But in order to survive that, I suspect one of the skills that we're going to need to be able to hold is being okay and not being okay at the same time. And being able to hold that both things can be true. So there's a lot right now that is not okay. And my body and my nervous system's response to that is valid. And there's also a lot of okayness that's still there too. And so I come out, and we listen to it just started raining here, so there's a gentle rainfall. The birds are all flitting around. They're still singing their songs about it being okay. The crows are feeling safe enough to come down and grab the peanuts. They'll feel more safe when I stop filming and I move a little further away. Right now they're perched on the fence all around the yard. Oh, here comes another one. The jays want their share. So I come out, and it reminds me that there is also still okayness. And this helps my nervous system downregulate. It helps my nervous system relax. And there are plenty of people who are far more educated on this subject than I am, who will tell you that human nervous systems have been co-regulating with birds for a long time. Like that, I'm talking about thousands of years, like co-evolving and co-regulating for like thousands of years. And there's even, I've heard some hypotheses that perhaps we learned to speak based on listening to birds sing. So birds might have been the ones who taught us to speak first. And certainly their senses are more aware of what's happening in the world around us. So our long ago ancestors would have been trained in the language of birds, so that if a predator, a threat was coming closer to the camp, right, to the fire, whatever, the birds would let you know first, and you'd be able to track which direction it was, because you'd hear the alarm calls start going off from further away and then getting closer and closer if the threat was approaching. And if the threat moved another way, you'd be able to hear that too. So yeah, this is not a like newfangled idea. This is a remembering, a deep remembering. So I have more I could probably say about that, but I think I'm gonna leave it there for now. Actually, no, I'm gonna share. It's just a little anecdote that's kind of funny. So I was out in Santa Fe with a friend's place, helping keep an eye on her dog while she was traveling, or the area around Santa Fe. And I was out walking the dog one morning, and this dog is usually pretty attuned to what's happening around. But in this case, there was a woman way away, like far away, but the dog was like highly focused on her and if she was coming closer. And so we'd stopped in the shade of a tree. It was kind of hot already, even it was the morning. And the dog was really focused on the woman and kind of resting in the shade. And I just kind of had let my mind wander and wasn't really paying close attention. And I'm pretty sure it was bird calls, the change in the bird sound around us, even though it wasn't conscious, that kind of brought my awareness back in. And so I was like, oh, like suddenly I kind of snapped back into focus, and I looked to my right as a big coyote stepped around the tree where I was. And somehow me, the human with the least developed senses out of the three, large mammal creatures, right, that were here, like somehow I'm the one who saw us all first. So the coyote didn't even know we were there, because I didn't yell, but I kind of went like a little, breath in. And the coyote heard that, looked over, saw us, jumped a mile, and then ran away. And the dog never even saw the coyote, because when I made the sound, the dog looked at me too and was like, what's up? So anyway, but the birds knew. And I'm pretty sure it was, like looking back on it, I was pretty sure that it was actually a change in bird sound that had kind of snapped me out of my like mind-wandering dreaminess kind of space. So anyway, I believe that it's real, this connection with the birds, and this like deep remembering of it. You know, I'm not an ornithologist. I'm not someone who's like, you know, a super expert on birds or has always been into birds. But in that moment, something in me knew to pay attention. So yeah, I'll wrap this video up here now. As always, you're welcome to kind of share if there's any ahas or let me know what you think. If this resonated with you, if this feels like something that you know people who they would benefit hearing from, like please like, share, comment, subscribe. I know you get tired of hearing people say that, but it really does make a difference in the algorithm and you know, whether the different platforms are sharing this video so that other people can discover them. So it helps a lot. And yeah, so I offer go outside and like let your nervous system kind of co-regulate with something that isn't the news, something that isn't the human created world right now, to kind of, you know, let your nervous system down regulate, to give yourself a pause and a break before going back to doing whatever important work it is that you are doing to support other humans and to support yourself and to kind of, yeah, take a stance for humanity in the world. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.